Hello, in today's video I'm going to review a motorized slider from KONOVA, which is a Korean equipment manufacturing company which provides also photography and video equipment. They have provided me this slider for free for me to review and share my thoughts with you because I actually reached out to them and I told them I was interested to have this piece of equipment for me to play with, and they actually sent one. The only thing they asked me to do is place a link down below, which you will see if you wanna scroll down. Anyway, I do have another slider as well, and from Newer, that's another company, which I'm going to make a comparison. You will see later in the video, because I just wanted to have another point of reference. Now, these sliders are probably the cheapest entry-level sliders on the market, together with the GVM, as far as I could find, especially on Amazon. And they're about $200 to $300, depends on which country you're from. And this is actually a very cheap price for a motorized slider. For a lot of years I couldn't buy one because they are in the thousands of dollars and I could not justify my purchase. Anyway, I wanted to have a motorized slider in my arsenal of toys to be able to achieve some slow, smooth shots, sideways, front and back, and also some time lapses with a changing point of perspective, which are always spectacular. So, the package contains the obvious slider in a very nice pack. As you can see, it is carbon fiber, 80 centimeters or 31.5 inches in my case, but I think you can order longer or shorter. It has adjustable legs with a very smooth operations, in contrast with stepped operations for other sliders. The head of the slider moves very smooth, and as you can see, if you don't want to use the motor, which I'm going to talk about in a second, you can use it as manual. It comes with this pack, which contains the motor and the remote control. So, and a belt and all sorts of accessories. You need to pay attention because you need to specify to KONOVA exactly which camera you're gonna use, and they will send you the specific cables. KONOVA comes with a remote control which is connectable to the motor via a data cable. Don't worry about this plastic. Once you remove it, it's gonna look much better. However, I would keep it to protect it because it looks like it's gonna get scratched very easy. My apologies for the image slightly out of focus. The remote control has a data cable inlet, a remote 2.5mm jack, a micro USB connection, and also a power on and off button. It's the white one you will see on the right. The interesting fact is that you need to power the remote, which powers the motor. So you can attach a Sony type battery, but you can also attach a normal battery pack via the micro USB connection. Very important fact, the motor comes as a separate piece which is powered again from the remote, and it gets installed with the belt. As you can see in this image, it doesn't take long. It's very easy installation and you don't need any tools. You just screw the red screws in and you are basically done. As you tighten the belt left and right, basically that's about it. So the connection between the remote and the motor is via a normal data cable, just like a computer. And the good news is, if you don't have a Sony battery, you can attach a normal battery pack, an additional one, via micro USB. That's a very useful feature to have. If you run out of battery, you can just pop in one of those. Let's remove the plastic. So you turn it on, set point A, which is on the left hand side, let it go. Once you're happy, you click, and now you send point B. Again, apologies for the out of focus image. The slider will move to point B, and once that's set up, you're good to go. Once you have set up the point A and point B, you can choose video mode or time-lapse mode, or you can control the slider manually, or automatically it will go between A and B constantly. If you turn off the power, you need to reset point A and B and start from scratch. Now it's time to compare it with the other slider, exactly the same size, from Newer. You will notice differences, and it's very important to understand exactly what those differences are. For example, the newer is being controlled by a smartphone app and it goes via Bluetooth. If you're like me, I basically hate anything about Bluetooth because I have trouble connecting things all the time and I don't find it reliable. So the newer you will see on the far side is being controlled via the phone, and the biggest difference between these two sliders is the newer slider has the battery on the motor. That is a very big difference and very important to understand, because KONOVA you will have always the cable. It might go in the way, however it doesn't bother me. I actually prefer to have manual control rather than having a phone app control, which can always crash, and if you have if you're using it for a long period of time, you need to reestablish the Bluetooth connection, and sometimes it just doesn't. Now for the speed test, they are almost the same. The newer is slightly faster with a 100% speed. In regards to the sound, I discovered that newer is actually louder at 100% speed. However, both of them at 90% they are very silent. I'm just giving you a moment to hear for yourself. Just another small difference to note: KONOVA adjustable legs are smoother and the bottom plate is flush. In regards to newer, the legs are coming in steps, a little bit harder to adjust but safer and more stable, and the belt fixing plates unfortunately come outside the bottom plate. They are not flush. They might be in a way if you want to put it on a specific tripod or however. I'm just pointing that out, not a biggie. But other than that, both sliders are very similar. You need to remove the motor in order to transport them for both of them, so you're not gonna get away with that. They're both light and high quality materials, good details. None of the sliders will come with a tripod ball head, so you need to buy it separately in order to mount a camera. You can mount a camera directly on the plate, but using a ball head will give you more flexibility. Both sliders are coming with middle bars, which are adjustable from the sides, as you can see. One of them will give you a pan motion and the other one will give you the opposite, which is focusing on a very close point and will change actually the background. One thing to note though is you cannot be too close from the slider, otherwise you will lose the focus. So you can see in this test, the maximum or the closest will not be achieved because the focus point will actually move. What I noticed that you need to be probably around a meter away from the subject in order to be able to maintain focus and proper framing. This is an example of that could look like, which is actually pretty cool in my opinion, because you can see the change in the background. This is the opposite example of a pan motion. It covers 45 degrees on one side straight and 45 degrees on the other side, so basically an angle of 90 degrees. You need to be able to have the slider in a perfectly horizontal position, otherwise the horizon level will shift, but I guess you can fix that in post. One thing I wanted to note is both of these options are not perfect. They are a bit jittery, and the movement and the change of direction is not actually even. This is probably the only criticism I could give to KONOVA slider, including the other one. But I guess how much love do you want for $200 or $300? Not a biggie, not a deal breaker for me. You can work around it. But I guess the main selling point of this slider is actually the time-lapse feature. Very important to note is that the motor is gonna act as a remote trigger for the camera. So you can set up the time-lapse settings in the remote, and it's connected via this cable with the motor. This is not a tutorial how to do time-lapse. All the settings you can do both in the camera or the remote. However, I will recommend into the remote because the remote is going to control the camera. It acts as a remote trigger. You just put the camera in bulb mode and let the slider do the rest. So in conclusion, the good thing about this slider is it has a very low price, $200 or $300. It's very light, very good quality. It is very easy to use and it does have flexible power options to choose from. In regards to the cons, I would say cable management and the dependency on the remote. That's a con for some people. For me, is not actually a con, but I wanted to mention it here. And also the pan function with the middle bar. Regardless if you do a wide pan or a focused pan, it's not going to be smooth. However, you can work around that. That's it from me today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.